Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel, and in today's episode we're going to be looking at the 1987 Ford Sierra. Hello and welcome back to Quarterlight. Now if you're new to Quarterlight actually, what are we? Well, we're a car brochure channel here on YouTube. A very tiny little channel on YouTube looking at car brochures from around the world for the 60s, 70s, 80s and 1990s, and we even go beyond those years as well. So if you're interested in cars, car brochures, looking back at cars gone by, all about the memories really, then please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free. Now, this particular episode was first aired on a Friday. We call those episodes Ford Friday. Now we've been doing this a little bit of a series looking at March 1987 Ford range. Last week we looked at the first Ford Sierra Sapphires. That's where it just first appeared in the all range brochure. Today Sierras, although it's going to be a little bit different. So let's throw the brochure on the board and talk a little bit about that. So this is the brochure that we've been looking at, Cars, Ford, March 1987, and like I say, this is when we first saw the Ford Sierra Sapphire. That was last week's episode. Don't worry, I'll do a link to this particular series at the end of this episode. So not only did we get the Ford Sierra Sapphire first appearing in this March 1987 all-range brochure, as in it's the first time it appeared in an all-range brochure, but we also got the sort of restyled Ford Sierra as well, the Sierra that was the hatchback. Now what I've decided to do, and this is quite a little bit off track to some degree, this episode I'm just going to go back 1 month. Because in this brochure, February 1987, this is the last time that we saw the previous sort of generation of sort of that original styling of the Sierra. I was going to do the full range and go through the range in this brochure and then compare it with the previous shaped Sierra, but for one, I think the episode will be way too long comparing each trim level as we go along, because as we know, Fords at this time did vast ranges of cars, but also I don't think we would get as much information. It's interesting looking at these last of the line of the old shaped Sierras. There's a couple of them I actually don't, well, one in particular I don't really remember too well actually. But anyway, we'll take a step back. We'll go in the February 1987 brochure this week. Next week we'll jump back into the March 1987 brochure and see the restyled version. So let's start here. So this is the first page for the Sierra, and of course remember in this brochure there was no sign of the Sapphire, so this came straight after the Orion. In this particular brochure we're greeting with a really nice image of probably what's the car you probably wanted in the Sierra range, to be honest with you. This Sierra 4x4 Ghia Estate, certainly that would probably be my favourite. Interestingly though, if you turn to the estate or wagon page, it doesn't show this model, which is a little bit unusual. So this is really our only glance of this one. Zooming in, we can see that familiar Ford Sierra front end before it got restyled the month later. Also showing a number plate. Not sure if this is genuine or not, but I'm kind of like thinking it's probably not. It looks a little bit too bright, but certainly these would be late and quite rare to see, I guess, the previous shaped Sierra on a D plate. So that's interesting. Also some rather lovely alloy wheels there as well. An unusual caption because this is introducing this Sierra range as a whole, but it's talking about this model in particular, the 122 miles per hour Sierra 4x4 Ghia Estate, point-to-point favourite. I think they should have put that on the I think they should have put that little image and that little paragraph on the estate page with this model personally, but that's how Sierra have chose to do it, or Ford I should say have chosen to start off this Sierra range. And then we've turned to the first page I'm not going to glance too much at this page because we have got a lot to get through. Bit of an X-ray type image, some of the little features, even a little bit of rallying there. Of course, Ford and rallying. You take your cars rallying on Sunday and then sell your cars on Monday, kind of like theory for Ford. But let's turn to the first model proper. We get this rather unusual base model Ford. I always like base model Ford because they kind of like go out of their way to make it super basic. Although you find on these later ones, remember the first Sierra saloons, the base model, they had that sort of black Zorro type front end on there to really shout that it was the base model. We've lost that. We've now got a colour coordinated grille, but it is a grille rather than just a sloping flat end. And we've also got those sort of like dangling door mirrors on the base model as well. So certainly an interesting model, and certainly a rare model. I'm always kind of like unsure who actually buys these base models, but I'm sure a lot of them went for fleet use back then. So we'll have a look at some of this text, see what it's talking about, and then we'll come back to these nice images and see what you get, or should I say, see what you don't get on this base model. This one is headed Sierra Saloon, economical and efficient. The spacious saloon sets the tone for the rest of the Sierra family. It continues by telling us delightful to drive and fine for the family. The saloon gets the Sierra range off to a flying start. It's thoroughly practical, budget conscious, reminder of Ford's renowned ability to offer high quality at a remarkably low price. I always remember thinking at the time why they're calling this base model the Sierra Saloon when it was a hatchback, but anyway, moving down. I wonder why they didn't at this time just call it like the Sierra Popular or something like that. I'm not sure, but certainly they decided to go with really what it was, an unnamed model. It tells us for economy and efficiency, characteristics that have become synonymous with Ford engineering. There's the 1.6 engine, announced after an intensive research and development program. Delivers 75 PS at only 4900 RPM. Is strung on low speed flexibility. Accelerates from 0 to 60 in 13.2 seconds. And has an impressive 103 maximum. The 1.6 saloon lively character belies equally attractive official fuel figures, such as 46.3 miles per gallon at 56 miles per hour and 31.7 miles per gallon on the urban test. But the Sierra Saloon is not just a fine performer in town and stretching its legs on the motorway. Fully independent suspension, self-adjusting servo-assist brakes and light, accurate rack and pinion steering provide excellent ride, handling and cornering, and stopping to make the most of tricky rural roads. Drivers are constantly reminded that the saloon's design has blended family characteristics with lessons learned during Ford's long and phenomenally successful involvement in racing and rallying all over the world. It performs like a true thoroughbred. In fact, the saloon is nothing if not a quality car, because in broad terms, its advanced specification is shared with the rest of the Sierra range. The 5-door hatchback has a smart body-coloured grille. A little bit of a nod to say it didn't used to have that. A lockable cap for the fuel tank and are protected by Ford's comprehensive anti-corrosion process. Externally, the glossy bodywork is shielded by colour-toned bumpers of tough mouldy plastic with bright inserts. While smart mouldings guard the sides, there are high standards of comfort and refinement inside. The reclining front seats with head adjustments for the driver and an A-frame head restraints are trimmed in Lorenzo fabric, so you are getting head restraints at least at this time. When did they actually, I always forget this actually, I wonder when the head restraints actually became mandatory in the UK. It probably was around about this time, and they said we have to put something on the A-frame head restraints. It is, i.e. the most basic of all the head restraints. Carpets extend to load area, floor, and the door bins have storage bins and armrests. There's a soft feel full width fascia, glove box with lid, and a push button radio. The front seat belts reels are concealed in the side pillars. With the rear seat back rest up, the Sierra Saloon is a comfortable 5-seater with a large area of luggage space. This is increased when the one-piece rear seat is folded down, so we've just got a one-piece fold down, which is quite late actually to be still using a one-piece fold down seat. The zone dashboard makes finding the right controls easy, and the steering column incorporates fingertip controls for the indicators, lights, 2-speed wipers with intermittent wipe, headlamp flasher, horn and electric washer. Front side window demisters are standard, along with the driver and passenger side door mirrors and a heated rear window. The heater controls are illuminated, and the 3-speed blower can change the air in the car every 18 seconds. Safety features include the shatterproof laminated windscreen, bonded direct to the body to improve the airflow, childproof rear door locks, passenger safety cell, inertia front seat belts, collapsible safety column, seat belt buckle clasps mounted on the seats, halogen headlamps, rear fog and reversing lights. The brake system has discs on the front and drums on the rear. All are servo assisted and use a front rear hydraulic split system for safety. Grips comes from, and there you go, tells you about the wheel sizes there as well, so 165 SR radials. Let's have a look at some of the images and see some of the features, but certainly by this stage we can kind of put in a few more features at least on the base model, like a radio, but the radio you put in really doesn't even look like a Ford unit, does it? It's not something you would recognise as a Ford unit from 1987 anyway, so they obviously dug this very basic head unit on from, I don't know, deep within the shelving at the Ford factories, I guess. I don't know where they dug this one up from. In-car entertainment is provided by Ford's P21 push-button MWLW radio. Peep on the inside, the text at the side there is just really repeating what it said before, so this is Lorenzo cloth trim. It does tell us though that all Sierra saloons in the States and all other Sierras fitted with the 2.3 diesel engine have a radiator grille as illustrated in the main picture. Oh, so kind of like even if you got a higher spec 2.3 diesel, I guess you have to have that grille, I guess, for a bit more airflow, I'd imagine. Interior, like I say, it's pretty basic, and we've only got those sorts of like A-frame head restraints, which is a little bit unusual, and like I say, unusual just for this sort of class of car to have just a fold down full seat rather it being a split fold. A little bit of a look at the lights, just basically telling us this is halogen headlights, and it starts talking about the mirrors shaped for aerodynamic efficiency, but these are your base spec mirrors. If you remember these are sort of like dangling design ones. I don't know why they went to the trouble having two different types of door mirror. Little things like that Ford used to do that you kind of think would have actually cost more money to do two different types to really shout at the fact you've got the base model. And there it is in all its glory. So dangly wing mirrors aside, it's not a bad looking car overall. We don't get any sort of wheel trims though, it's just showing us our steel wheels with these tiny little centre caps. Very common for Ford to do that at the time for your lesser spec models. We do get sort of like the rubbing strips down the side, so at least that's nice, but this is probably not the model you would have gone for, so let's move up the range. So yeah, Midnight's joined the Ford Sierra episode. She must be interested in Sierras. So this is the Sierra L. If you notice straight away, we've gone for like standard door mirrors now. Earlier on, they were dangly on the L model as well. Sierra L, a lot more popular than that base model, though. You didn't really see that many base models, because even as your company car or fleet car, they tended to be more likely being an L rather than that super basic one. Actually, this isn't a bad page to actually compare the two models. So this is February 1987 and the Sierra L, and over there is the March 1987 and the restyled Sierra. Not going to spend too much, but I thought I'll just throw that on the board for a quick look, but we'll look at that in more detail next week. So for the general description for the L, it tells us Ford's state-of-the-art 1.8 and 2 litre engines give the well-equipped Sierra L that extra sparkle. So at least we can have a better engine, even a 2 litre L, which is quite nice. Let's have a look at the description. It tells us the Sierra L is a very significant model because it brings Ford's 1.8 engine into the range, launched at the same time as the standard set in 1985 models. This state-of-the-art power unit features advanced lean burn technology plus a very strong dash of sporting flavour with crisp acceleration and a top speed of 110. Its high technology features also include an electronic ignition system and twin-choke Pierberg carburetor with electric inlet manifold, heater controlled by a spark module for cold starts. At the top of the tree, Ford's 2 litre engine gives the Ford Sierra L a 0 to 60 time of only 9.8 seconds, while top speed is a spirited and stable 116. Moving down the power scale, the Sierra L can also be specified with Ford's 1.6 engine. A fourth option is the 2.3 diesel, designed especially for families and businesses who want quite exceptional fuel economy. The diesel has a 5-speed gearbox as standard. Running on low price fuel, it stretched the gallon over 55.4 miles on the 56 miles per hour test. The Sierra L's level of standard equipment is so high that the price comes as a very pleasant surprise. One of the many advantages is now we've got the 60-40 split fold rear seat back, which enables the versatile hatchback to swallow exceptionally long loads without sacrificing the whole of the rear compartment's passenger space. Folding the smaller section still leaves room for 2 adults to cover long distances in comfort. The rest of the interior is equally impressive, with an array of fittings over and above the Sierra Saloon package. They include 5 fabric trim, front seats with adjustable head restraints, remote controlled door locks, a load area light, clock, self-seek AM cassette and a trinket tray centre console. Outside, the slotless radiator panel and lock-in fuel cap are colour matched to the body. The bumpers are colour toned according to the body colour with bright inserts. The wheels are fitted with aerodynamic covers and the body has a side moulding to accentuate the low sleek lines as well as to protect the paintwork. A tailgate wash wipe keeps the rear screen clear. The Sierra L shares all the equipment offered on the saloon: halogen headlamps, 2-speed wipers with intermittent wipe, heated rear window, 3-speed heater, blower, servo-assisted brakes, and hazard warning lights. Off-the-shelf options open the door to another range of possibilities. They include metallic paint, a screened glass sunroof which tilts as well as slides, 4-speed automatic transmission and power-assisted steering. So there is the main image of the L. Unfortunately, it does fall on the crease as many of these big pictures do. Unfortunately, a bit of a tape stripe, full width wheel trims and standard door mirrors, and we can even just about make out standard headrests. So actually not too bad a model by this time. A look at the inside. Like I say, we've got those standard headrests now. Moving the camera down, Not the most exciting interior. We've got that very Sierra-esque steering wheel, no rev counter on this model, and then just finally, if you don't mind me just manually moving the camera down, we can see those door mirrors being standard now, and the split fold rear seat. So by this time we've been added with the LX now. It tells us, makes you glad you've not tied to your desk. A little bit of an image at speed. I would rather a normal image here, but let's have a look to see what extras you get on the LX. It tells us the Sierra LX is for people who need a reliable, comfortable, well-equipped, good-to-drive car that may well cover 1,000 miles or more in a typical working week. Its specification is carefully tailored to meet the needs of the art technology, can be focused on everyday needs. So a lot of this text in this is actually kind of like going over the same sort of thing, the boot size, etc. We've got 60-40 split and then an increase when we fold the seat down. Tells us the engines for the LX, so we get the 1.6, the 1.8, the 2 litre. Again, we've kind of like talked about that in previous notes. We can also have the 1.8. It goes on to tell us the 5-door LX creates a very favourable impression. Even before you start admiring its interior, eye-catching features include wide body side mouldings, high-tech polycarbonate bumpers and bright inserts. Reversing lights are standard, of course, so are the remote control door mirrors, tailgate wash wipe and locking filler cap for the long range fuel tank. Interesting though, it starts talking about the wheels there, and it says they look very classy. That's because they share their covers with the prestigious Sierra Ghia. So Sierra Ghia wheel trims, unusual. The LX interior also rates high marks as you tick away at the long list of standard equipment, noting such features as height adjustment for the driver's seat, cloth trimmed door panel inserts, padded and fully adjustable front seat head restraints, colour key carpet and tilt or slide screened glass sunroof, and storage space for everything from the bulky road atlas to parking meter coins. Instruments with enhanced and adjustable lighting include a tachometer. There's a very sophisticated all stereo self-seek FM cassette with no fewer than 16 station presets and 4 speakers. Comfortable, convenient, quiet and smooth riding, the Sierra LX has everything needed to make light work of a long day. You even get sport style fully independent suspension with gas filled shock absorbers. So of course the LX kind of like fitted in between the L and the GL. They went for more like a sporting sort of theme, and they went for this sort of like darker, sort of almost like a two-tone style paint job. An interesting model. Also interesting to feel that they needed to slot another model in there. Inside, the interior, still a pretty basic model, but I think the all-important rev counter has been added now, and we also get a sunroof. So here it is, the next model up, kind of like getting to the more upmarket models of the Sierra now. Here the GL tells us lively and luxurious. The GL offers a choice of 3 petrol engines and a very frugal diesel. We'll pick the key points out here. Some of it will be repeating itself like before, so we'll kind of like gloss over that, and then we'll come over to these images. So it tells us here the GL sweeps Ford's award-winning Sierra straight into the executive class without attracting the high running costs and hefty service bills traditionally associated with luxury cars. Like the rest of the Sierra range, the sleek GL stands out as technically advanced car, carefully engineered for minimum maintenance, easy parts replacement and real enjoyment for drivers and passengers alike. So again, it's going over the engines, so 2 litre, 1.6, 1.8 and that 2.3 diesel can be had. Again, it's kind of like repeating sort of like the fuel economy figures. It's also telling us Ford's new 4-speed auto transmission is optional with the 1.8 and 2 litre power units. Luxury is very much the key to the Sierra's GL's appeal. and apparently is most noticeable in the passenger compartment, which is protected from the heat of the sun by tinted glass. The reclining front seats have height adjustment for the driver, chic strobe fabric covers for the seats, the cut pile carpet extends to the load area, side bolster cushions trim the rear wheel arches, and the horn is repositioned on the steering wheel centre. It shares the 60-40 split like we've seen before. And a bonus, the driver's seat adjusts for lumbar support and the door mirrors are electrically controlled and heated. Rear passengers get a centre armrest. After testing a 2.3 diesel GL, Motor commented that it's fine ride and handling compromise, good accommodation and comfortable driving position were all well established Sierra virtues. With the comfort comes technology. The Sierra GL is equipped with Ford's special microprocessor to monitor brake pad wear, engine coolant and washer fluid levels. The microprocessor also tells the driver when the fuel is running low, and yet another device monitors brake fluid level. Other additional standard equipment on the GL includes a self-seek FM cassette, tilting sliding glass sunroof, soft top front centre armrest, glove box, a glove box with interior light, a brightness control for the instrument panel, illuminated, and a tachometer, but we don't have that on the diesel. Of course, the GL also shares many of the Sierra L features, including tailgate wash wipe, 3-speed heater fan, load area light and a quartz clock. So there is our GL in quite an interesting colour there. So full wheel trims again, but I think the interior certainly is a bit nicer. Of course we have a standard sunroof again, an interior that somehow looks a little bit more classier. We also get that rear armrest, of course. The next model up actually is a model I'm struggling to remember, as in I remember the 2-litre GLS, and in fact my mum had a sapphire version of this, but I can't remember the Sierra 2-litre injection GLS as in the pre-facelift model. I don't know how many years they did this one, maybe you can jot that in the comments, but I don't remember this one as a pre-facelift model, so possibly a little bit rarer than most of the other Sierras. It says drive the sporty Sierra 2-litre GLS to experience outstanding performance and comfort. So rather nicely it starts with a little image of the rear showing how it was badged, and of course that little bit of a boot spoiler. It tells us the Sierra 2-litre GLS combines the best of several worlds in one car. On one hand, it is the sparkling performance that makes life so much easier for busy business executives with tight schedules. Drivers who pack more miles into a month than some people cover in a year will also be impressed by the 2-litre GLS's outstanding comfort and superior equipment. And then it goes on to say, but this is also a superb car for families who like to travel in style. The back seat has plenty of space for 3 teenagers or 3 adults for that matter. It goes on about the boot size and the 60-40 again. The engine is the key to any car's character, which is why the Sierra 2-litre GLS has Ford's crisp, responsive and hard-punching 2-litre EFI power unit. Calling it a clever engine is rather like dismissing Albert Einstein as just another run-of-the-mill scientist. It's a strange thing to put on there. Why? Because the 2-litre EFI's Bosch L Jetronic fuel injection system is supplemented by Ford's incredible powerful EEC IV computer triggered by sensors and capable of processing 15 million signals in a single minute. It masterminds all fueling and ignition functions by relating inputs from the sensors to data stored in 3-dimensional map memory. A lusty 115 PS developed at 5500 RPM joins forces with up to 160 Nm of torque to account for the 2-litre GLS's pace. Tested by Ford engineers and equipped with the standard 5-speed gearbox, the Sierra did 0 to 60 in 9.4 seconds and hit 118 miles per hour. You might expect that sort of fire to burn a hole in your credit card, but official tests produce 43.5 mpg at 56 miles per hour. Wide wheels with 2-quart silver covers have low profile tyres, so it looks like alloys, and they're quite clever with the trims actually, but they are just covers. Optimised sports type suspension with an anti-roll bar at the rear. Other 2-litre GLS distinctions include sunroof, integral front fog lights, body coloured door mirrors and a neat tailgate spoiler. The Sierra 2-litre GLS provides plenty of comfort and convenience for passengers. The driver is looked after particularly well by ideally located controls, a tachometer and a snug seat with height and lumbar adjustment. High-class in-car entertainment comes from Ford's latest all-stereo self-seek FM cassette unit. There is your interior. Like the GL, we've got that rear armrest. Only a tiny image of the front end. It's a very grainy image, so don't adjust your sets. But like I say, I don't remember the GLS with that front end on, as in the pre-facelift model actually. And then finally, just moving down, I'm just going to manually do that. There is a look on the interior. It does also show a tiny little engine image of that EFI engine. And then that takes you to the car you aspire to own, the Sierra Ghia. And yes, the Sierra Ghia does come standard with alloy wheels at this time. I often say this, I think all Ghias should really come with alloy wheels, but I know some people disagree because, of course, mind you, I was going to say, but of course, alloys were seen as being a bit more sportier, weren't they, back in the day, but there are even options on the sporty version. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. So it's superbly equipped inside and out. The lavish Ghia combines prestige with low cost. So here is your fancy Ghia. Kind of like think, oh, we're getting to the end of the range now, but we're not. We've still got the estates, which we'll just quickly go through. We're not going to spend too much on the estates, and then we've got 2 more sportier models. Vast Sierra range at this time. I kind of almost feel there were too many different models, to be honest. We'll have a look at some of the text then, and we'll have a look at these images. At the bottom here it says, value for money luxury is the hallmark of the prestigious Sierra Ghia, a car to delight the most fastidious families and business executives. It looks like the proverbial $1 million even before you take a close look at the lavish interior. The smooth nose makes for its discreet air intakes, is flanked by halogen headlights, extra driving lights and powerful fog lamps, neatly built into the body tone bumper. Tough mouldings with bright inserts protect the Ghia's glossy flanks. It rides on strong, elegant, easy to clean alloy wheels. It goes on to tell us the mirrors are electrically operated and heated to maintain visibility in bad weather. All windows have tinted glass and central locking secures the doors. But it's the interior that really steals the show by exuding an atmosphere of tasteful comfort, convenience and refinement. Right through from the thick hard-wearing carpet to the Beaumont cloth headlining. The seats are beautifully shaped and trimmed in Savoy and crushed velour fabrics. Very nice. The front pair of adjustable lumbar supports and the drivers can be adjusted for height as well as reach and rake. Building on the foundations laid by the GL, the Ghia has extra instruments that include Ford's graphic warning module, whose display indicates open doors, bulb failure and even the risk of ice on the road. The Ghia specification has the GL's slide or tilt sunroof, completely blind, and in addition takes an electronic sound system including power amplifier with 4 speakers and powered aerial, a 3-function digital clock and electrically operated front and rear windows. The Ghia also provides a very smart overhead console incorporating swivel map lights. But even this superb saloon specification can be enhanced Ford's optional equipment for the Sierra 2-litre EFI Ghia includes a sophisticated air conditioning system and power assisted steering, as well as the 4-function fuel computer. The 4-speed auto transmission also available. There are 2 engine choices, the lean burn 1.8 and of course the 2-litre EFI. Both have a 5-speed gearbox as standard to combine reduced fuel consumption and performance levels in keeping with the Ghia's status. Just as welcome is the fact that in terms of routine maintenance and other run-of-the-mill jobs, this superb car is no more expensive than the Sierra Saloon. So images wise, we get this tiny little image showing the auto as an option. This small image showing the side of the car with those colour keyed wing mirrors. And of course, one of my favourite actually, alloy wheels for the time. But it tells us the Ghia is all about the interior, and certainly the seats do look nice. It's a nice fabric, and we've even got headrests at the rear as well now. And then we get to the Sierra Estates, and I lied, didn't I? It is the same car as on the front page. I don't know why I didn't spot that the first time round, but yes, this is the 2.8 V6 4x4, so really the model you wanted. I'm not going to spend too much time on the spec levels, but I'll cast my camera over the images. A little bit of a rear shot, and I'm kind of like thinking that number plate has been added on. And they're a side shot, rather nice looking alloys, although I don't think I like them as much as the standard Ghia model, if I'm honest. A little bit of a side shot. You can just about make out the badge in the side there, at the back there, says Sierra Ghia 4x4. Certainly the model you wanted, really. You got all the practicality of the estate, but quite the engine there as well. But, you know, if you want the estate, it's all about that, isn't it? The space on the inside. But let's move on, because we've still got 2 more models to get through, actually. Okay, so when we turn the page after the estates, the range continues. I guess the idea here is these are the more sporty models now, although a couple of questions there. Why would the GLS not be in this section, and why have we got a GLS and an S? It's a little bit confused, isn't it, why we've got both models, like I said. Almost like we've got too many models at this late stage. So at the top there, this sporting Sierra's fuel-injected engine has the world's most powerful in-car computer. Let's have a look at the text, and we'll come back to these images, then we'll look at our final model. It tells us many family-sized cars with sporting pretensions have a lot more show than go. Ford Sierra's 2-litre IS is a completely different proposition. It lives right up to the promise proclaimed by the sleek lines of a graceful, wind-cheating body, sculptured to enhance performance and fuel economy. This tempting blend of art, science, sophistication and strength sprints from 0 to 60 miles per hour in a mere 9.4 seconds. Gear ratio is perfect harmony with the smooth, free-revving 115 PS engine's power and torque provide strong acceleration at higher speeds for swift, confident overtaking. On the motorway, cruising at 70 miles per hour is child's play for a car capable of 118. And then it goes on again about the electronic fuel injection system and this fantastic powerful in-car computer again. It then goes on to tell us power and torque. The 2-litre IS provides a beefy 160 Newton meters, of the latter at 4,000 RPM, are fed to the back wheels through a 5-speed manual gearbox with a lightness and precision of a scalpel slicing through silk. The Sierra suspension is modified to provide even more grip, plus the extra measure of tautness appreciated by keen drivers. The system includes a thicker stabiliser bar in the front, while the rear has variable rate springs and an anti-roll bar. Gas-filled dampers are fitted all round. Inside, front seats similar to those in the Sierra XR 4x4, which we'll be looking at next, provide the support essential for long distance comfort. They have adjustable pads to bolster the lower back and padded, fully adjustable head restraints. In keeping with the car's personality, the neat cluster of instruments and warning lights include a tachometer to make the most of the 2-litre IS engine. So quite a pleasant looking interior actually on the IS. We've also got the all important sunroof, of course, also telling us air conditioning is available as an option. And there is the side profile of the Sierra 2-litre IS. Let's move on to the final model. Secret's already out, it's going to be the XR 4x4. So here it is, the Sierra XR 4x4. I guess to go with the other sporting Ford models, the XR2 and the XR3i, which we saw earlier in the series. We'll have a look at the text, we'll come back to these images. So this one tells us Sierra XR 4x4, a pace-setting blend of supercar performance and 5-seater comfort. It tells us Ford's worldwide reputation for advanced engineering is raised higher than ever by the superb Sierra XR 4x4, a car designed to dominate an exclusive class where only the best is acceptable. Permanent four-wheel drive is what makes the XR 4x4 one of the most significant milestones in Ford's long history. It has been specially perfected by the Special Vehicle Engineering team, whose expertise and enthusiasm created the Fiesta XR2, Escort Cabriolet, Escort RS Turbo and Capri 2.8 injection special. Four-wheel drive is no longer synonymous with rugged off-road vehicles, it tells us. Its value is demonstrated on the open road, where the XR 4x4 is as sure-footed as the proverbial mountain goat. The way its tyres grip on dry, wet, icy or snow-covered surfaces make you revise your opinions about what a car can and cannot achieve in safety. The transmission also features two limited slip differentials, whose viscous coupling provided by a silicone fluid are much smoother and more progressive than the more familiar mechanical type. The central differential delivers 66% of the engine's torque to the rear wheels and 34% to the front. That split benefits traction and handling, notably when accelerating hard to rocket away from slow, low gear corners. Power comes from an engine famed for strength and refinement, fed by Bosch's K Jetronic fuel injection system. The 2.8 injection V6 pours out 150 PS at 5700 RPM and gives a mighty 216 Newton meters of torque at 3800 revs. As a result, the XR 4x4 speeds from 0 to 60 in only 8.1 seconds, top speed 130. Additional satisfaction comes from the power assisted steering. Powerful and progressive disc brakes operating on all four wheels make sure that the XR 4x4 slows as well as it goes. Their fade fighting reliability is particularly welcome when sprinting from tight corner to tight corner. So the images start with this rather little interesting image of the XR 4x4. The main image is a dark one, never my favourite actually when they do these dark moody shots. But it's an interesting one. Unusual alloy wheels, which I quite like, although I prefer the Ghias, I must admit. And then this unusual little badge on the side. You can just about make out that 4x4 badge, certainly an unusual one. We've got a red pinstripe, which actually looks quite nice on this black car, finishing off with a little bit of a tail spoiler. And then a look on the inside of the XR 4x4. So certainly the video has gone longer than expected, but I think we just got time to throw in, or I think we should at least throw in the price guide. So the base Sierra with just that 4-speed gearbox and a 1.6, 7,346. Looks like you could have it as the estate as well for £8,021.80. And then your opposite end of the scale, so the far right one is your XR 4x4, £13,260.34, a lot of money back then. You could spend a bit more though for your Ghia 4x4 estate at £14,487.15. That certainly is a lot of money. That £9,542.91 is for that 2 litre IS. And I suppose the interesting one really is, how does that compare with this 2 litre GLS? Well, that looks like it was a little bit more expensive at 10,000. Sorry, no, it wasn't too much more expensive actually. £9,829.71. Does seem strange having both those two models. But anyway, I think we should quickly wrap this one up. Thank you so much for watching the Sierra range in February 1987. Next week, March 1987, when that new shape came in. So we'll have a look at that early range, see if it's any different than this late range, I guess. But thank you so much for watching today. We'll end as we always do by saying, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free. We'll add a couple of boxes here. One will be for the series, so you'll be able to see any episodes you've missed. One's usually a random video chosen by YouTube. But thank you so much for watching today. Please do take care. We'll see you very soon, and goodbye.